Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly enjoyed your own company? No distractions, no phone, no outside noise, just you sitting with yourself, feeling at peace. If that thought makes you uneasy, it's because we've been conditioned to believe that happiness depends on someone or something outside of us. But the truth is, the happiest people don't chase external validation. They create their own joy from within. Today, I want to talk about something that can change your life. How to be happy alone. Because if you can master this, you will never depend on someone else to give you happiness. You will never be afraid of solitude, and most importantly, you will never settle for less than you deserve. Society conditions us to believe that being alone is something to be feared, something to be avoided at all costs, something to be avoided at all costs. From the moment we are born, we are surrounded by people. Our families, our friends, our communities. We are taught that connection is everything, that being surrounded by others defines our worth. And while human connection is indeed vital, there is a critical distinction we fail to make. Being alone is not the same as being lonely. Loneliness is a feeling. It's the aching void that comes from disconnection, from feeling unseen, unheard, unvalued. It is a state of longing, a craving for something that is missing. But being alone, that is simply a state of existence. It is neutral. It is what we make of it. And when we change the way we view solitude, it ceases to be something to fear and instead becomes one of the most powerful gifts we could ever receive. Some of the most brilliant minds in history have understood this truth. Einstein, Da Vinci, Jobs, these weren't people who ran from solitude, they leaned into it. They understood that the greatest ideas, the most transformative breakthroughs, often come when the noise of the world fades away, when there are no distractions, no external voices telling you what to think, how to act, or who to be. Solitude is where clarity is found. It is where we meet ourselves in the truest form. Yet most people do everything in their power to avoid being alone. We fill every moment with noise, with social media, with television, with endless conversations that add little to our lives but keep us occupied. Why? Because silence forces us to confront the thoughts we push away. It demands that we face ourselves, our fears, our insecurities, our doubts. And that can be terrifying, but it is also necessary. Growth does not happen in constant motion. It happens in stillness, in reflection, in solitude. Imagine a tree in the middle of a forest. It does not seek validation from the trees around it. It does not ask permission to grow. It does not need an audience to flourish. It simply does what it was created to do. Root itself deep, stretch toward the sky, and exist fully in its own space. The same is true for us. We do not need external approval to become who we are meant to be. We only need the willingness to stand in our own space, to be alone without fear, to trust that in solitude we will find our strength. When you are alone, you have an opportunity that few people ever take advantage of. The opportunity to listen. Not to the world, not to the voices of doubt or expectation, but to yourself. Who are you when no one is watching? What do you believe in when there is no one to impress? What dreams do you hold in your heart that you are too afraid to speak out loud? These are the questions that solitude allows us to answer. And when we answer them honestly, we unlock something powerful. Self-awareness. And with self-awareness comes direction, confidence, and an unshakable sense of purpose. Many people avoid solitude because they fear what they might find in the quiet. They are afraid that without external validation, they are nothing. But here is the truth. If you rely on others to define your worth, you will always be at their mercy. You will live in constant fear of rejection, constantly adjusting yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. But when you stand alone, when you find comfort in your own presence, you realize that your worth has never been dependent on anyone else's recognition. It has been within you all along. There is strength in standing alone. It teaches resilience. It forces you to rely on yourself, to trust yourself, to make decisions without the crutch of outside opinions. It is in solitude that you learn the difference between loneliness and independence. You begin to see that while companionship is beautiful, it is not a necessity for fulfillment, that you can be whole on your own, that your happiness, your success, your identity, none of it is contingent on anyone else. The world will try to convince you that being alone is a sign of weakness, that if you are not constantly surrounded by people, there must be something wrong with you. But history tells a different story. The greatest thinkers, the most innovative creators, the people who have changed the course of humanity, none of them were afraid to walk alone. They understood that solitude was not a burden, but a gift, a space where ideas could grow, where self-discovery could flourish, where true power could be cultivated. The question is not whether you will face moments of solitude in your life. You will. The question is what you will do with them. Will you run from them, fill them with distractions, try to escape the discomfort? Or will you embrace them, use them, grow from them? Will you allow solitude to be the thing that breaks you or the thing that builds you? Because here's the truth. The people who truly succeed, who find deep, unshakable fulfillment, are not the ones who rely on others to complete them. They are the ones who have learned to be whole on their own. They are the ones who have rewired their minds to see solitude not as emptiness, but as space. Space to think, to create, to evolve. So if you find yourself alone, do not fear it, do not resist it. Instead, lean into it. Listen to the voice within you that has been drowned out by the noise of the world. Discover who you are without expectation, without external influence. Because when you learn to be comfortable with yourself, truly comfortable, you become unstoppable. You become someone who does not seek validation, but instead creates a life so full, so rich, so meaningful that it speaks for itself. And that is the power of being alone. Now, this isn't just some self-help cliche. This is real. If you don't love yourself, being alone will feel like punishment. But if you learn to appreciate yourself, being alone becomes a privilege. Think about how you treat the people you love. You encourage them, you support them, you celebrate them. Now imagine what would happen if you did the same for yourself. Instead of waiting for someone else to appreciate you, you start appreciating yourself. Instead of craving external validation, you give yourself permission to be enough. It sounds simple, but for so many, this is one of the hardest things to do. Because we have been conditioned to seek love outside ourselves. We have been taught that happiness is something we get from others. Rather, let's talk about Sarah. Sarah went through a painful breakup. For years, she had built her entire life around her relationship. She did everything with her partner. Vacations, decisions, even her sense of identity was tied to the relationship. So when it ended, she felt like she had lost everything. The silence in her apartment was deafening. The loneliness was suffocating. She tried distracting herself with friends, social media, and work, but nothing filled the void. And for a while, she thought she would never feel whole again. But then something shifted. Instead of running from the loneliness, she decided to embrace it. She decided to get to know herself, really know herself. She started doing things she had always wanted to do but never prioritized. She took herself to her favorite restaurants, not caring if she dined alone. She booked solo trips, experiencing new places without needing someone else to validate the experience. She wrote herself love letters, not waiting for someone else to tell her she was worthy. And in the process, she discovered something profound. She didn't need someone else to complete her. She was already whole. Loving yourself isn't about arrogance. It's not about pretending you have it all together or convincing yourself that you're perfect. It's about radical self-acceptance. It's about looking in the mirror and seeing yourself fully. The strengths, the flaws, the successes, the failures. and embracing all of it. Because the more you learn to love yourself, the less you will tolerate things that are not meant for you. The more you respect yourself, the less you will settle for situations, people, and environments that drain you. There is a quiet power in loving yourself. It means you stop begging for attention because you realize your own presence is enough. It means you stop chasing people who don't appreciate you because you value your own time. It means you stop apologizing for being yourself because you understand that your worth isn't up for negotiation. For some, the idea of loving themselves feels foreign. Maybe you grew up in an environment where self-love was seen as selfish. Maybe you were told that you had to prove your worth through achievement, through service, through making others happy. But here's the truth. The most generous, compassionate, and loving people are the ones who first know how to love themselves. Because when you are full, when you are whole, you don't need to take from others. You don't seek relationships to complete you, you seek them to complement you. So, how do you fall in love with yourself? Start by spending time with yourself. Turn off the noise, the distractions, the endless scrolling, and just be. Go for a walk alone. Sit in silence. Write down things you appreciate about yourself, not just the external achievements, but the deeper qualities. Your kindness, your resilience, your ability to keep going even when things get tough. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to a close friend. Would you tell a friend that they're not good enough, that they're unworthy, that they're a failure? No. So why do we say these things to ourselves? Loving yourself also means taking care of yourself. And that goes beyond just spa days and treating yourself to nice things. It means setting boundaries. It means protecting your energy. It means saying no to things that drain you and yes to things that nourish you. It means standing up for yourself even when it's uncomfortable. Because when you truly love yourself, you don't allow disrespect from others or from yourself. Imagine what would happen if you fully embraced yourself. Imagine waking up every day not needing anyone's approval to feel worthy. Imagine making decisions based on what you truly want, rather than what you think will make others happy. Imagine feeling comfortable in your own skin, no matter where you are, no matter who you're with. That kind of confidence is magnetic. That kind of self-love transforms lives. Sarah's story isn't unique. There are so many people who, after heartbreak, loss, or failure, discover that the love they were searching for was within them all along. But you don't have to wait for life to break you to learn this lesson. You can start now. You can start today. You can decide that from this moment forward, you will treat yourself with the love, respect, and kindness that you have always deserved. And here's the most beautiful part. When you truly love yourself, you teach others how to love you. You set the standard. You become a beacon for the kind of relationships, opportunities, and experiences that align with your worth. Because when you know your value, the world starts to reflect it back to you. So, don't wait. Don't wait for someone else to tell you that you're worthy. Don't wait for the perfect moment, the perfect body, the perfect career to start loving yourself. Love yourself now, fully, fiercely, unapologetically. Because the relationship you have with yourself is the foundation for everything else in your life. And when you get that right, everything else starts to fall into place. When we talk about purpose, we often think of it as a distant concept, something that we have to work hard to find, something that only a few lucky individuals seem to discover early in life. But what if I told you that purpose doesn't always come to you? What if it's something you can actively choose and pursue? Imagine waking up every day with a fire in your belly, with something that drives you to push through the toughest days. Now imagine what it would feel like if that purpose was something that brought you immense joy. Something that made you feel alive even in the moments of solitude. We live in a world where distractions are everywhere, and loneliness is often the result of not having something meaningful to focus on. When we don't have a purpose, we often find ourselves stuck in patterns that don't serve us. We jump from one relationship to another, looking for something to fill that void within us. We chase temporary highs that leave us feeling empty, always craving more. But the truth is, we don't need to keep searching externally for fulfillment. It's something that can be found within, in the things that we are passionate about. The danger comes when we ignore these passions, when we push them aside because they seem impractical or because we believe that they're not as important as other things. But those passions are what will keep you alive. They are what will make life feel worth living. They are the things that will prevent you from ever feeling bored or truly lonely, because they give you a sense of direction, a reason to get out of bed every morning. So I want you to ask yourself, what sets your soul on fire? What makes you lose track of time, where you are so deeply immersed in the moment that nothing else matters? Think about it. Maybe it's writing, pouring your thoughts and emotions onto paper in a way that connects you to others. Maybe it's painting, where each brushstroke is an expression of who you are, your thoughts, your dreams, your frustrations. Perhaps it's fitness, pushing your body to new limits, feeling stronger and more capable with every rep, every mile. Maybe it's learning a musical instrument, the joy of creating sound and rhythm from within you. Or maybe it's something entirely different, something you've never dared to pursue because you thought it was too far-fetched or too risky. The truth is, it doesn't matter what it is. It only matters that you find it. Your passion is the key to unlocking a life that is both fulfilling and meaningful. And when you find it, everything shifts. You stop seeking validation from others because you no longer need it. The joy you experience in pursuing your passion becomes enough. The crowd, the applause, the external recognition, it all becomes secondary. You start to realize that the process of pursuing your passion is where the real reward lies. Think of someone like Michael Jordan, who is widely regarded as one of the greatest basketball players to ever live. What many people don't realize is that Jordan didn't just practice on the court when he had an audience. He spent hours alone shooting hoops in his backyard, with no one watching, no applause, no fans cheering him on. It was just him, the ball, and the game. That's where his obsession with his craft took root. It wasn't about the fame, it wasn't about the trophies. It was about the game itself, the love for it, the pursuit of excellence. His passion for basketball was so deep that it drove him to spend countless hours working alone, honing his skills, pushing. And because of that, he became a legend. But you don't need to be Michael Jordan to experience the power of passion. You just need to find something that fuels you. It doesn't matter if it's big or small, as long as it makes you feel alive. It's the small moments, the quiet ones, the ones where you are completely immersed in what you're doing, that hold the power to transform your life. Those are the moments where your mind is focused, where you forget about everything else, where the world around you falls away and it's just you and your passion. You might wonder, though, how to even begin this journey. The first step is simple. Start. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to take that first step and allow yourself the freedom to explore. Try things, experiment, fail, and learn. Passion doesn't always come with a roadmap. Sometimes it takes time, patience, and a willingness to embrace the process. But here's what I can promise you. Once you find your passion, your life will never be the same. You will no longer feel the weight of loneliness because your passion will be your constant companion. You will no longer feel lost because you'll have a direction, a focus, and even on the toughest days, when everything seems uncertain, your passion will keep you moving forward. It will be your anchor, your guiding light, and it will push you to keep going, even when the world feels like it's against you. There's something incredibly powerful about living a life that's aligned with your passion. When you pour your energy into something that excites you, that challenges you, and that brings you joy, you begin to see the world through a different lens. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to grow. Every failure is just a lesson on the road to success. And the more you commit to your passion, the more you'll realize that it's not just about what you do. It's about who you become in the process. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for everything to line up perfectly before you start. The moment to begin is now. Your passion is waiting for you. Find it, feed it, pour your heart into it, and watch as your life transforms in ways you never thought possible. When you do this, you'll discover that the greatest joy comes not from external validation, but from the deep, intrinsic fulfillment that comes from living a life that is true to who you are at your core. The way you start your day can shape everything that follows. Think about it. How often do you wake up in the morning without a plan, without a sense of direction? For many of us, the moment we open our eyes, our minds start to spiral. We think about the things we didn't do, the things we should have done, and the things we still need to do. And if we're not careful, that spiral can lead to feelings of self-doubt, regret, and loneliness before we even get out of bed. But what if there was a way to break that cycle? What if there was a way to start your day in a way that sets the tone for everything that follows? A way to not just survive the day, but to thrive in it. This is where building a routine comes into play. A structured routine doesn't just fill the hours of the day. It fills your life with intention and purpose. When you wake up with a plan, you immediately give your mind something productive to focus on. You take control of your day instead of letting your day control you. The key, however, is to design a routine that brings you joy, that energizes you, and that makes you excited to get out of bed. A routine that serves you, not just one that fills the hours. You may be wondering how exactly to create such a routine. Let's look at a man named David, who for years struggled with depression. After his divorce, he found himself in a dark place, unsure of how to move forward. Every morning felt like a battle to even get out of bed. There was no energy, no excitement. There was only the weight of loneliness and sadness. But one day, something changed. David made the decision to take control of his mornings, to create a routine that would not only get him out of bed, but would also help him move toward healing. It started small. Every morning he would wake up, stretch his body, and write in a gratitude journal. He would take a walk in the fresh air just to feel the sun on his face and the rhythm of his feet on the ground. It was a simple routine, but it gave him a sense of purpose. It gave him a reason to rise. At first, it felt awkward and forced. He didn't immediately feel better, but over time, something incredible started to happen. The simple act of moving his body, reflecting on the things he was grateful for, and spending time outdoors began to shift his mindset. Slowly, he started to notice small changes, a little more energy, a little more clarity, a little more peace. The act of building this routine, one small step at a time, became a foundation for rebuilding his life. David learned that when you commit to consistent actions, even small ones, they add up over time. The routine became his anchor. It gave him something to look forward to, something that kept him grounded, something that made him feel alive again. This is the power of a well-crafted routine. It doesn't have to be grand or complicated, it just has to be intentional. The beauty of a routine is that it doesn't just fill the hours of the day, it helps you become the person you want to be. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. Every day that you commit to your routine, you are making progress, even if it's just a little bit at a time. Those small steps build momentum, and before you know it, you'll find yourself living a life that feels aligned with your values and your purpose. Think about the difference it would make to start each day with activities that energize you. Reading a book that inspires you, working out to keep your body strong, meditating to clear your mind, and setting goals to keep you focused. Each of these things, when practiced consistently, makes a difference. They help you feel centered and grounded. They help you stay connected to your true self. They remind you that you have the power to shape your day and your life. But the key to building a routine that truly serves you is to focus on the things that bring you joy. It's not about filling your schedule with tasks for the sake of being busy. It's about filling your time with things that make you better, things that challenge you to grow, things that bring you a sense of fulfillment. Your routine should be a reflection of the person you want to become. It should align with your values and aspirations, and it should be something that excites you, not drains you. When you create a routine that brings you joy, you begin to look forward to each day, not as a series of obligations, but as a series of opportunities. Opportunities to grow, to learn, to become better. Your routine becomes your partner, helping you stay on track even when things get tough. It's like having a compass that guides you through the noise and distractions of life, keeping you focused on what truly matters. And while a routine can be incredibly powerful, it's important to remember that it's not about rigidity or perfection. Life will throw curveballs, and there will be days when things don't go according to plan. But when you build a routine that brings you joy, it becomes easier to navigate those challenges. You have something to return to, something that reminds you of who you are and what you're working toward. David's story didn't end with a morning routine. It didn't stop with a simple stretch or a walk. Over time, the consistency of his routine gave him the strength to take bigger steps, to pursue new goals, and to rediscover his passion for life. His routine didn't just help him heal. It helped him grow. It helped him rediscover a sense of purpose, a sense of joy, and a sense of possibility. You too can create a routine that supports your journey, no matter where you are in life. Whether you're trying to overcome a challenge or simply looking for a way to live more intentionally, a structured routine is a powerful tool. It gives you something to rely on when everything else feels uncertain. It gives you a sense of control over your day, over your life, and over your future. But here's the most important thing to remember. Your routine is yours. It's not about copying someone else's schedule or trying to fit into a mold that doesn't work for you. It's about finding what brings you joy and making it a priority. It's about carving out time each day for the things that matter most to you. And when you do that, you will find that your days feel more purposeful, your mind feels clearer, and your heart feels fuller. Building a routine that brings you joy isn't just about creating habits. It's about creating a life that excites you, a life that you're eager to wake up to, a life that you can look back on and say, I lived with intention, I lived with purpose, I lived with joy. And when you build that routine, you're not just going through the motions. You're living a life that truly matters. When we think about happiness, we often look for external sources, relationships, achievements, material possessions. These things may bring us joy, but the truth is that true happiness, the kind that lasts, comes from within. It's not about what you have, it's about who you are. And the foundation of that kind of happiness lies in mental and spiritual strength. We train our bodies to stay fit, to build endurance, and to get stronger. But what about training our minds? What about strengthening the part of us that drives our decisions, shapes our perceptions, and influences how we experience the world? Too often, we neglect this vital aspect of our well-being, assuming that happiness will come from external sources. But the reality is that to be truly content in your own skin, you must cultivate mental resilience and spiritual peace. The journey towards strengthening your mind and spirit begins with a practice of stillness. In a world that is constantly moving, where distractions are endless and noise is ever present, the ability to sit in silence can feel like an almost impossible task. But it is in that silence, in those quiet moments, that you truly get to know yourself. Meditation is a powerful tool to help you connect with your inner self. It allows you to quiet the noise and tune in to your thoughts, emotions, and feelings. It allows you to be present with your own mind instead of constantly running away from it. Too many of us are afraid of our thoughts. We fear what might come up if we sit still for long enough. We fear facing the discomfort of our own minds. But the truth is, it's in confronting those uncomfortable thoughts that we grow. When we sit in silence and allow ourselves to observe our minds, we begin to understand the patterns, the fears, the doubts, and the insecurities that hold us back. We begin to realize that these thoughts don't define us. They're simply passing moments, fleeting like clouds in the sky. And when we stop running from them, we learn to coexist with them, to understand them, and to eventually let them go. It's not just about stillness, though. Strengthening your mind requires feeding it with thoughts that challenge and inspire you. It's about choosing what you expose your mind to. The books you read, the conversations you engage in, the content you consume. They all shape the way you think. Are you reading books that push you to grow, that open your mind to new possibilities? Are you filling your mind with positivity, with ideas that ignite your passion and purpose? Or are you feeding it with negativity and self-doubt? We often underestimate the power of what we allow into our minds. Our thoughts become the lens through which we see the world. And when we focus on what inspires us, on ideas that challenge us to be better, we begin to see the world through a more positive, empowered perspective. We become more resilient, more capable of navigating life's challenges because we've trained our minds to focus on solutions instead of problems, to focus on opportunities instead of limitations. But there's one more practice that holds the key to unlocking mental and spiritual strength: gratitude. It's so easy to fall into the trap of focusing on what we don't have, the things we wish for, the dreams that feel out of reach. We spend so much time looking forward that we forget to appreciate the present. We overlook the beauty in what we already have, in the people, the experiences, and the opportunities that surround us. But the more we practice gratitude, the more we begin to see just how much we have to be thankful for. Studies have shown that people who practice daily gratitude are happier, more fulfilled, and more resilient. Gratitude shifts our focus from scarcity to abundance. It shifts our focus from what's missing to what's already present. When we cultivate a habit of gratitude, we begin to appreciate the small things, the quiet moments, the simple joys, the relationships that enrich our lives. And when we appreciate what we have, we stop looking outside of ourselves for validation or happiness. We realize that the joy we seek is already within us, in the things we take for granted every day. Imagine waking up every morning and saying to yourself, "I am enough, I have enough, and I am grateful." These words, simple as they may seem, carry immense power. They remind you that you don't need to seek validation from others, that you don't need to chase after external rewards. You have everything you need right now to feel content and fulfilled. You have your mind, your body, your spirit, and they are enough. When you wake up with this mindset, you begin to experience a deep, unshakable joy that no relationship, no material possession, and no social validation can ever give you. Gratitude is the foundation of true inner strength. It allows you to see the beauty in life, even in its challenges. It helps you stay grounded, even when the world around you is chaotic. When you focus on what you're grateful for, you shift your energy from negativity to positivity. You begin to attract more of what you want in your life, not because you're seeking it, but because your mind is open to receiving it. Mental and spiritual strength is about building a solid foundation from within. It's about cultivating practices that nourish your mind, body, and spirit. Meditation, silence, reading, and gratitude are all tools that help you strengthen that foundation. And when you practice these consistently, you begin to experience life from a place of abundance, peace, and resilience. This journey is not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about learning to embrace your thoughts, to face your fears, to appreciate what you have, and to grow in the process. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't need external validation, who doesn't rely on others to feel complete. It's about building a life that is rooted in self-love, self-respect, and self-awareness. When you strengthen your mind and spirit, you become unstoppable. You become someone who can face any challenge with confidence, knowing that your strength comes from within. You become someone who doesn't need the world to change in order to feel happy. You become someone who finds joy in the simple act of being alive, in the beauty of the present moment. And that is a power that no one can take away from you. There's a profound truth that many of us overlook. Happiness doesn't come from the people around us or from external circumstances. It doesn't come from seeking approval or validation from others. In fact, when we rely on others to define our happiness, we set ourselves up for disappointment. True happiness, the kind that lasts, comes from within. It comes from learning to be content and fulfilled in your own company, from finding peace in solitude, and from realizing that you are enough, just as you are. The idea of being happy alone might seem intimidating to some. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to connect with others, to be surrounded by people, to share our lives with social media followers, and to constantly seek external affirmation. But the real challenge, the real strength, lies in being able to stand on your own, to be happy without needing anyone else to fill the void. Because when you are truly happy alone, that's when you stop chasing happiness altogether. You stop running after fleeting moments of joy and start creating a life of sustained fulfillment. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that happiness comes from someone else. We often look for it in relationships, in the approval of others, in the things we own, or in the achievements we accomplish. But when we rely on these external sources, we are essentially giving away our power. We are waiting for someone or something else to make us feel complete. But the truth is, no one and nothing can complete you. You are already whole. And when you learn to embrace this, you will stop settling for relationships or situations that drain you, and you'll stop fearing solitude. In fact, you'll begin to see solitude not as something to avoid, but as a space for growth, reflection, and self-discovery. Solitude is where you find your true self. It's where you reconnect with your inner desires, your passions, and your purpose. It's in those quiet moments, when the world slows down, that you are able to hear your own thoughts, to understand your own heart, and to discover what truly brings you joy. But to do this, you need to be strong enough to stand alone. The strongest people are not the ones who rely on others to feel complete. They are the ones who can stand tall, even in their own company. They are the ones who are not afraid to be alone with their thoughts, their feelings, and their dreams. They are the ones who find strength in themselves, who recognize that they do not need anyone else to validate their worth. They are the ones who are unstoppable, not because they never face challenges, but because they have learned to rely on their own strength, their own resilience, and their own sense of self-worth. This kind of strength doesn't come overnight. It's a process. It's a journey of learning to love and accept yourself, of finding your own worth without needing others to tell you what it is. It's about discovering your passions and nurturing them so that your life is filled with purpose and meaning. It's about building a routine that supports your growth, your health, and your happiness. It's about strengthening your mind and spirit so that you can face the world from a place of peace and confidence. When you master solitude, when you learn to be happy in your own company, you stop seeking validation from others who don't deserve your time and energy. You stop settling for toxic relationships or situations that drain you. Instead, you attract people and opportunities that align with who you are, with what you value, and with where you're going. You stop looking for happiness in external things because you realize that it's already within you. And that realization is transformative. So I encourage you to take the time to fall in love with yourself. It's not a selfish thing. It's a necessary one. You cannot fully love others if you don't first love yourself. You cannot share joy if you haven't found it within. Take the time to explore who you are, what excites you, what you're passionate about, and what makes you feel alive. Build a routine that nourishes your mind, body, and soul. Strengthen your mental resilience and practice gratitude every day. The more you give to yourself, the more you'll have to give to the world. When you do this, when you take the time to invest in your own well-being, you will begin to notice a shift. You will become stronger, more confident, more grounded. You will stop seeking happiness in the wrong places, and you will start creating it from within. You will become truly unstoppable. Because when you learn to be happy alone, you realize that happiness isn't something you chase anymore. It's something you embody. You won't need to rely on anyone else to make you feel complete. You won't need the approval of others to feel worthy. You will know deep down that you are enough. You are whole. You are powerful. And no one can take that away from you. So don't run from solitude. Embrace it. Master it. Fall in love with yourself. Find your passions. Build your routine and strengthen your mind and spirit. Because the moment you learn to be happy alone is the moment you become truly unstoppable. And when you reach that place, you will no longer be chasing happiness. It will be right there with you every single day.